Woohoo! I'm here. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the congratulations. Might be another eye there. Yes, I think there is. I think we might have acquired a certain editor of my former acquaintance. Oh, well, yeah, they're piling in now. Hello, Justine. Nice to see you. Yeah, everybody's here now. And they keep on coming. Karina sent a message to say hi. Hello, Karina, all the way from Norway. Welcome to the international division. And in case you missed the beginning of it, we're just here to party. It's launch day, publication day for Murder by the Book, which of course is extremely exciting. And all you lovely people have been so supportive, and I really appreciate that too. And it's fantastic to have you all here joining me just to recognise what I think, well, it feels like quite an important moment, partly because it's a new series. It's a bit of a diversion for me, a different direction. If anybody read the Bill Kemp thrillers, these ones over my shoulder here, you probably know some of the background to that. That it was developed from a character that I worked on originally, that was written by another author, Desmond Bagley, and I wrote 2 sequels to that book of his that I had worked on. So they were kind of adventure thrillers, one set in Australia, one set in Cold War Europe. But this is a completely fresh idea. It's contemporary, it's set in the modern day, and it's what is loosely termed cosy crime these days. So if you like your Richard Osman, or your Reverend Richard Coles, or your Rob Thorogood with the Marlowe Murder Club, it's in that sort of territory. They're murder mysteries, and this is the first in a series. Murder by the Book is, for anybody who doesn't know, it's set in a bookshop, and the reading group that is attached to the bookshop meet every week to discuss their favourite fictional detectives. And one week they meet, and the bookshop manager, slight spoiler here, but it is right at the start of the book, so it's not the end of the world. The bookshop manager is murdered, and the reading group take it upon themselves to investigate that murder using the detective skills that they have gleaned from the detective fiction that they've read. So there's quite a lot of reference to Golden Age detective fiction, Agatha Christie, even going back to Sherlock Holmes, Lord Peter Wimsey, those kinds of characters. And the bookshop that they are the reading group of is actually called the Quaint Bookshop, and that is named in honour of their favourite fictional detective, a character that I've actually invented for the purpose, by the name of Lord Quaint. And the books themselves, all the books in the series, begin with a flavour of one of the Lord Quaint novels. So in book 1, this one, Murder by the Book, the Lord Quaint novel that they are reading at the time is called Delivery of Death. In the next one in the series, which comes out in March, I'll talk about that in a bit, the Lord Quaint novel that they're reading is Murder on the Polar Express. And the third novel, which will be out later in the year, begins with a Lord Quaint novel called Shaken Not Stirred, which has more than a little hint of a certain Cold War spy, but more on that in due course. So yeah, as I say, lovely to have you all here, and hello to Jackie who's joined us. If you are here and I can't see that you're here, do just give me a wave in the comments, or say hello somehow. It'd be lovely to know that you're there. And I'm not planning to do anything other than talk a bit about the book, a bit about the series. We have had a few questions come in, so I'll address some of those as well. If you've got any questions that spring to mind as we go along, just bung them in the comments. I'm watching them as they come in here, so chuck them in the comments and I'll get to them at some point in the next 20 minutes or so, aiming to be done by 7:30. And we've actually got an alarm set, so I don't overrun, because as those of you in the UK will probably be aware, tonight is the final of The Traitors, and we don't want to overrun and miss that. So we're going to stick strictly to time. I'm immediately going to pick up a couple of questions that have come in. How do you come up with the plots for the books? Yeah, really good question. So the plot for this one really sprang out of the characters. So I knew who the characters were, the 4 central members of the reading group, and I've given each of them a backstory. Some of that we learn in the course of the book, some of it we don't. Some of it leaks out over the course of the series, and some of it's just for me. Although, yeah, if you know how to get around me, then you can probably wheedle it out of me one way or another. But because of those backstories and the way that the 4 of them interweave as members of the reading group, that really created the engine for the plot. And so I knew early on that the bookshop manager was going to be the victim right at the start of the book, and the way it unfolds after that, as I say, came largely from the characters and the way that they work together. Probably worth just talking a little bit about the characters. The founder member of the reading group is a retired academic. He's Professor Stone, a professor of mathematics, and he is the first person to be invited to set up the reading group. Quickly followed by a resting actor, a character by the name of Harrison Ford. Only, as he always points out to people, he's 2 F's and an E. And as is explained in the book, he chose that as his stage name for reasons that become apparent. The third member of the group is a teaching assistant by the name of Lauren Sherwood. And she is kind of old beyond her years. She's around 30-ish, but behaves older. She kind of brought up her younger brother, performed in loco parentis, and so matured early, but is also a big fan of detective fiction. And the newest recruit to the reading group is a housewife called Bella Borton, who is almost 20 years into a marriage that maybe happened a bit too young for her, and she is beginning to feel as if she wants to spread her wings a bit, hence joining the reading group. And actually much of the first book revolves around her kind of growing into herself, discovering who she is as an individual rather than as a housewife. So that certainly feeds into the plot as well. So that's a little bit about the plot for Murder by the Book. The second in the series, A Game of Murder, is published early in March, so it'll be out on ebook and audiobook on March the 6th, and in paperback on March the 12th. Almost said the 13th, but it's not. It's Thursday the 12th, not Friday the 13th. And A Game of Murder bears more than a passing resemblance to a certain board game in a country house. And it takes our intrepid foursome, the quaint bookshop reading group, and it puts them into a remote country house where they are guests for the weekend, ostensibly to visit and view the impressive library at the country house. While they're there, sort of inevitably, they become snowbound. And so they spend a weekend in this remote snowbound country house where curious things begin to happen. And I'm not going to tell you any more than that about it, because that's book 2. And at the moment, we're focusing on book 1. And I mentioned book 3 earlier on. Book 3 is called From Murder with Love. And that has more than a passing resemblance to that Cold War spy that I mentioned, and puts the quartet into a world that would be very recognisable to fans of those books and that film series. But again, no more information about that just at the moment. If you want to know more and you aren't already, please sign up to my newsletter. I send a newsletter out roughly once a month. Sometimes it's a bit longer, sometimes it's a bit shorter. Those of you who are signed up already will know that I've sent 2 out in the last fortnight. But I've got a book out, so I kind of figured I was allowed to do that. What I won't do is bombard you with emails. But if you want to sign up for the newsletter and just sort of keep in touch, and I try to give the newsletter subscribers little advance notice of things. So the cover, for instance, for From Murder with Love, I'm hoping to release in the next newsletter. So little things there that might entice you to sign up for the newsletter. To do that, you go to my website, excuse me, and my website address is www.mrgdavies, which is the name on the cover of the books, mrgdavies.com. It's as easy as that, mrgdavies.com. And on the front page of the website, if you scroll to the bottom in the footer, there's a black panel, and there's a little section there where you can subscribe to the newsletter. It only needs your email address and a name, and you fill that in and you push the button, and automatically you are then on the newsletter subscriber list. So if you haven't done all that already and you want to keep in touch with what's going on, do that. Sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be hearing from me. The newsletters aren't massively long. I know I'm signed up to a few newsletters that you get every last detail of what's going on. And if you're a nerd like me, that's great. But if you just want to keep in touch, then I try and keep it fairly sort of chatty and brief. But it'd be lovely to have you on board, so do please sign up for that. Okay, plots for the books. So sort of leading on from that, and I mentioned the MRG Davies and the fact that that's the website address. It's also the name on the books, which is different from the previous ones, the thrillers, which went out under my full name, Michael Davies. And one of the questions is, why? Why a different name? So the main reason was because of the publishers. HarperCollins have published both the Bill Kemp novels, but also the new series. But it's 2 different divisions of HarperCollins. So the original Bill Kemp thrillers fell under the auspices of a guy whose grand title is Estates Publisher. Lovely, a good friend called David Braun. And his job basically is to look after HarperCollins' dead authors. So he's got people like Alistair MacLean and Agatha Christie and all of the people who can't answer back, basically, which I think is the way David likes it. And one of his authors is Desmond Bagley. and it was Desmond Bagley whose book that I originally worked on at David's invitation, and that is where the character of Bill Kemp first appeared. And when it came to Bagley's centenary, which was back in 2023, David was chatting about trying to mark that in some way, and said, oh, they were thinking of maybe doing a new edition of Bagley's novels, some new cover designs perhaps. Had I got any bright ideas? And I said, well, actually, I think there might be a bit more life in the protagonist of that book, which was called Domino Island. And how about doing a sequel featuring Bill Kemp from Domino Island, but in a new original thriller? And fortunately for me, David said, that's great. We like that idea a lot. Let's do that. So that book, which is billed as the Desmond Bagley centenary novel, became Outback. So it's a sequel to Domino Island, although it works perfectly well as a standalone. You don't have to have read Domino Island to be able to enjoy Outback. And then off the back of that, they were so pleased with the way that went that they asked for another one. So Thin Ice is the third in the Bill Kemp series, follows on from Outback. Again, standalone, you don't have to have read them to enjoy them individually. And they were all published by David and the HarperCollins imprint. So what do I mean by imprint? That's the bit that you get at the back here that says on it HarperCollins. So if you search for it online, it'll say publisher HarperCollins. So on the back of that then, I was pitching other ideas to David alongside Bill Kemp, and he said, well, actually I'm not the right person to talk to, but I will introduce you to the right person to talk to within HarperCollins. He then introduced me to the wonderful Charlotte Ledger, who is the publisher of a separate division of HarperCollins called One More Chapter. One More Chapter are quite a new thing for HarperCollins. They sort of branched out with it, and they are primarily digitally led. So their books, the books that they publish, go to ebook first and then into paperback afterwards. Now, in the case of Murder by the Book, there's only 6 days between them. The ebook and audiobook are out today, and that's what we're celebrating. Hooray! And the paperback actually isn't out until next Thursday. So if you want a physical copy, if you've pre-ordered one online, then I'm afraid you won't get your hands on those until next Thursday. Oh, there's new people in. Hello. Oh, lovely to see you. Thank you for saying hello. Tracy, hello. Ottavio and Yvonne saying hello from Italy. Lovely to see you. Marsha, somewhere in the world. Marsha's on a cruise ship, and I've no idea where she is, but it's fantastic to have you here. So welcome to all you lovely people. Anyway, yeah, the paperback's not out till next Thursday. But One More Chapter. I then began a conversation with Charlotte at One More Chapter and pitched the idea for the series and the reading group, and they fortunately, again for me, said, yeah, thanks, that'll do. That'll do very nicely. That will fit beautifully into our portfolio. And can we have 3 in quick succession? So foolishly I said yes, and I spent last year writing the first 3 in the series: Murder by the Book, A Game of Murder, and From Murder with Love. Part of the reason for that was that they wanted to try and build some momentum and have release 3 in quick succession, to try and sort of get a bit of a buzz going. So that was why they wanted 3. But the other thing, and to come back to the original question, was that because they are in a different genre, they're cozy crime, they're murder mystery, they're very different from the Bill Kemp novels. They said, can we put them out under a different name? I didn't want a completely different pseudonym like Harrison Ford. So what we eventually settled on was my initials, MRG Davis, which also ties in with my pre-existing website, which is mrgdavis.com. So that's what we settled on. So the Cosy Crime series, the Quaint Bookshop Reading Group, are published under that name. The Bill Kemp ones are under the name Michael Davis. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, Desmond Bagley. So there's a question, any more Desmond Bagley stuff in the future? I'm actually the wrong person to ask about that. I would love to be able to say yes, because I love the character, I love writing the character, and I think there's more mileage in him yet. That would be partly down to HarperCollins and possibly a discussion between Charlotte and David about who's going to take my time up next. But I wouldn't rule it out, and I would certainly love to go back to Bill and spend more time in his company, because I feel like I've done some pretty horrible things to him. I've thrown an awful lot at him in different parts of the world, and the chance to do that again would be really quite enjoyable. So fingers crossed, watch this space is the answer to that one. Do you prefer books set in the present day or the past, and which is more fun to write? Well, that's a really kind of apt question, given what I've just been talking about. The Kemp novels are set in the 70s. They actually move on a year at a time. So the Domino Island, the original Bagley Kemp novel, was set in 1972, which is actually when he wrote the manuscript. It was he wrote it and then put it away in a drawer. Having submitted it to HarperCollins, he then withdrew it and wrote something else for them instead. And it wasn't discovered until 2017. Bagley had died in 1983, so it was quite a surprise to find there was this first draft of the manuscript. So that was set in 72 when he'd written it. Outback is set in 73 and Thin Ice is set in 74. So they are proper period thrillers. The new Cosy Crime series are modern day. And I don't particularly have a preference between them. There's an interesting challenge to the period ones in that the characters don't have recourse to things like computers or mobile phones or Google or any of that stuff that we couldn't function without these days. And in a way, that's quite hard to write, although I am old enough to remember days before mobile phones and before computers. So it wasn't completely alien to me. But it does mean that you have to find other ways of doing things. You have to find other ways of people conveying information to each other. It forces people more into face-to-face situations. And all of those things are actually I find quite creatively quite useful. They make you think more about how the mechanics of the plot are going to work out. Having said that, writing contemporary fiction is a joy, because you have got all of those things at your disposal. If somebody wants to know a piece of information, they can just jump online and look it up. So that can move things along quite quickly. Having said that, the Snowbound Remote Country House in A Game of Murder, the second in the series, because of the weather, loses its mobile phone signal and loses its broadband, and they are forced back into a situation where they have to fall back on their own resources, their own intuitive way of dealing with the problems that they're faced with. So I don't particularly have a preference. I love doing both of them, and they're both just great fun to write. So I'm fast running out of time. I'm aware that we're sort of 3 minutes away from the half-hour cut-off point that I promised. So I've still got questions here. If you were to write another genre of book with the same characters, like an alternate reality, what would you find fun to do? Sci-fi? Oh gosh, possibly. I once started a young adult sci-fi novel, which is kind of sitting in a corner of the computer, waiting for me to go back to, and that's been quite enjoyable to work on. I certainly enjoy watching sci-fi. Alternate reality. I wonder if you could put the Quaint Bookshop reading group into Mordor or Narnia or somewhere completely surreal or fantasy realism. That might be quite fun. I wonder what sort of creatures they might be in a Narnia world. Bella Borton, I could certainly see perhaps as Mrs. Beaver. She might fit well with that. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That sets some cogs turning. I'm going to have to stop because we're rapidly approaching 7:30. There's one thing I must tell you about. If you have more questions, if you want to ask me anything else, there are chances to say hello in person. I'm going to be at an event on the Fylde Coast on Sunday, February the 1st. It's at the Miri Dancer Bakery and Cafe in St Anne's. So if you're in the St Anne's area or anywhere sort of on that stretch of the Lancashire coast, do please come along and join us. It's at 1:30 on that Sunday. It's hosted by the lovely writer Linda Hampton, who is running a series of monthly author Q&As, essentially. So I'll be chatting to Linda. I'll be taking questions as well. There are fantastic cakes on offer if I'm not enough of a draw, and tea and coffee, and they're really welcoming. It's a lovely atmosphere, so do come along to that. 1:30 Sunday the 1st of February. It's only 10 days away, so don't miss that if you're in the vicinity. And the final thing I have to do is to give you offer up some thanks. So this wouldn't have happened, my first Facebook Live, if it had been left to me, because of my technical, and my great age, of course. So a big thank you to Alex, who has been fantastic with technical support. A big thank you to Tricia too, who a lot of you will know, I'm sure, is my not only my muse but also my PR guru, and just kind of enables everything to happen so smoothly. But also a big thank you to you. I know a lot of you who are on here. Alexa, stop. That's my cue. A lot of you on here are friends anyway, in IRL, as they say in these worlds, I gather. And it's great to have you on. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everybody's support with the book. If you have read it, if you do read it, please, the best way you can support an author is with word of mouth. So the more people you can talk to about it, the more you can repost, post your own stuff, whatever you can do, it really does make a difference, and I really do appreciate it enormously. And of course, those 5-star reviews on Amazon and Waterstones and Goodread and anywhere else always go down really well as well. So enough from me. Thank you so much for being here. Come and join me again, because I might do another one. Who knows? Thank you, and bye-bye.